Hey fam, welcome back to another episode. I'm telling you, thanks for coming back. As always, your host, Chef Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
And if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach out email wise. I'm telling you at directionsofmusic.org. That's IMTELLINYOU at directionsofmusic.org. Reach out, chat us up. We'll reach back. We love you. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely, reach back.
Right?
Pull you into a conversation. We want to bring people on.
Yeah, speaking of love, dude.
We want to open everything up. Speaking of opening everything up.
Oh, yeah, no, we do. I'm telling you, man. We got.
All right, we're going to do what?
Plus, it's me. It's Chef LED. It's like my signature.
Yeah, I got to get it.
Right, you got to,
right.
Yeah, no, you got to.
Yeah, got to charge it up first. Ready? 1, 2. Oh, okay. It's
like
that. There we go.
There yeah. That's how you know it's me. That's how you know it's me. That's my signature move, right? This is why we do this. It's us coming together, enjoying our experiences. I mean, we always say it, and I truly believe it. We would have these conversations no matter what. It's just the fact that we turn on some mics and it's like, hey, let's get into it. Let's see what happens. Right? This is just us.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's interesting tonight. I'm kind of in a Tesla mood like half the day today because I'm half out of it, which kind of, makes me half in it, whatever it is.
I like how you said Tesla because of that. Because there's like lucidity, but there's...
Well, there's always that. I mean, no matter how far gone I am, I'm always kind of in that connected frame of mind that, that what if, that questioning, like we were saying before, always questioning everything and just being curious. And it's knowledge, man, right? And wisdom and seeking these things, seeking understanding of like looking back and seeing all the mistakes we made, all the things we tripped over, all the times, I know I could have done or said something better. Or maybe times, anyway, I wanted to start.
You're going on your own tangent. Is what just
totally
happened,
am.
I think.
I totally am, but that's why I wanted to preface this whole conversation with an apology.
Yeah, I think that was a great example of why.
So that's exactly.
But I think it's pretty cool that you referenced it as Tesla because we talked about him and Einstein both as having like lucid dreaming, where you're like not quite awake, but you're also not quite asleep, which possibly could put you in an alternate brainwave. Like we said before, like theta and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, I keep looking, and that's why I want to apologize ahead of time. Anyway, I stayed up way too late, and we'll get into this scenario of why. But
if you're going to tell a story, you need context. We got to have context.
Oh, you want to start with that?
Well,
okay.
If you're going to start with me, go ahead.
So what we're doing here has affected me on a very deep level, and I've told you on a couple of occasions that there's a particular episode that really kind of strikes really deep and home for me. And I've listened to it, I think now 4 times in total. Green Room episode 9, correct? From the original.
Yeah, because we do a bunch of shows. We're just, I don't know. We like to hear ourselves talk, but it actually helps. It helps us.
It helps, yep.
But yes.
I know it's not part of this, but.
But it sounds like it is. So. I mean, so the episode, what was the topic, or what was the thing that stuck out? Like, what was?
There was something about that particular one, and I think you would agree with me that was very cathartic and had a lot of the elements of kind of what we're trying to do here at the heart of it, and it's connecting, making a connection with people, making what was it? We're all human. We all have these things that we're grappling with that make us tick, that kind of change the way that we move throughout our environment, how we treat other individuals, and how it's all a reflection, like you would always remind me, that everybody's projecting, and everybody's projecting this other thing on other people. They're hearing things the way they want to hear them. Like there's a perception, which we always reference.
The bias,
right?
Yeah, what you come from, like you're like how you see things, perceive things, understand things. It's all because of what you've known, or you are, or where you've been, and all of that comes into play. And you have to show like respect in that sense, because you have to appreciate where you're at now, and it was because of all those things that you got there. So,
and there's you know, a laundry list for anybody. I mean, you could pick any person off the street. There's a laundry list of things in their life that were really difficult stumbling blocks. It would be for anybody. You know, there's a number of things in my past and in your past that
we all have our traps. It's different things,
right.
But there's that thing that just makes you never know what somebody else is going through without walking in their shoes, and you can't judge them on that kind of thing, right? So I get that.
But you can't not think about the negative that there's a part of right. That's my thing. You can't not think about the negative that there's that part of you that still experiences that in the past that maybe you haven't dealt with. And there was a lot of things on that episode that because of the way you came to me, because that wasn't a planned episode. So there's nothing really planned about that at all.
But none of this really is.
It's yeah.
I find I find the more that we try to like actually constrain it, like it's like putting a tiger in the cage. It ain't having it.
Well, it's like trying to catch smoke, or
a chicken maybe. I don't People who've had to catch chickens,
or like a one-legged chicken, because those suckers are fast. You wouldn't think one leg, but man, you got to struggle. A chicken that can survive that long on one leg, man, those suckers are fast.
Is it like a really big leg? I mean, is this like something I want to like take and like cook up? Like, is this a thing?
Dude, I'm sure it had some severe musculature.
Are you messing with me?
If it's the only leg holding up the whole chicken, I imagine it's got to be pretty tough.
That's what I'm saying.
But it might be too tough. It might be stringy. I don't know.
It might be like super lean.
Good. Well, yeah.
He's just like Vin Diesel in the yard, one leg and hard as can be. Just like
I'm just saying that sucker was fast.
One legged.
You wouldn't think, but wow, that thing took wow.
Whoa! Easy there, Joey Lawrence.
Wow.
Oh,
like marsupials. Come on, because they're fast.
Because they're fast. Yeah. No, that's
yeah. No.
Yeah, no, I always forget his name. But the one actor, he's also a stage comedian and stuff. Yeah, he does his.
It's not coming to me right now.
He does his impression of Christopher Walken.
Spot on.
Oh, dude, he's like so hard on it. You close your eyes, you're not telling the difference. It's ridiculous. But he gives like these. It goes back. So we've had this conversation
even
before.
down to like the
the
physical stuff he does when he's on stage. It's funny because he has the whole. It's like he's channeling Christopher Walken.
Yeah, because we've had that discussion about like what it is to be a crazy actor, because it was Christopher Walken, so he gives like really off the cuff answers that mean like nothing in relation to the question asked. But the same as like we talked about, like.
But that's part of it. It's his sense of humor.
But Jim Carrey, same thing, right?
He likes to trip you up. He likes to kind of make you question, what the heck is this guy doing? What do you want about? He must be crazy. I don't know. Just look at him. He's turned his back to the one that's asking him questions. And then he turns around and he's like, I forget what he said. I'm trying to think. There was a couple things, like, because we were referencing before, there was a couple things where he was on the red carpet and, like, his whole plan was just to throw monkey wrench in any question they tried to ask him. Because he was at that point in his own life where he was just like, none of this means anything. Like, this is all just a big dog and pony show. And, like, I'm happy to be here, but it's just like, where's the bar? I was just... like, he always looked like he was ready to go somewhere else when they had him on camera. And he was funny and friendly, but just far out.
I think he was calling a spade in a sense. Just, because he was being totally counterintuitive on it.
We keep saying he, or Jim Carrey. We have to keep saying Jim Carrey. But yeah, Jim Carrey is just, he's a real deep cat. I mean, I've talked to you about this before, that like, I was at a party and I'm talking to somebody about whatever, and it came up and he was like, Jim Carrey's just, man, he just kind of went off the deep end. And I'm like, you think so? Like, yeah, man, he's just freaking lost his marbles. I'm like, I think he's figured a lot of stuff out.
Yeah, I know. It's like, did he lose it or did he find it?
So here we go with perspective. I mean, isn't that funny how the same thing could be viewed as, wow, he's just batshit crazy. And it's like, no, not really. I mean, he's an intelligent guy. He's trying to figure it out.
And that goes back to that conversation about Jimmy Stewart's Harvey, right? I mean, that was that add-on to it. Same kind of a deal, where just because others perceive you as such doesn't mean you actually are.
Well, there was so much about like the power of the human imagination with that too, because to me, the way I kind of saw that was a vehicle for him to allow himself, because that was the big thing that I was telling you that stuck out to me, that the whole movie was kind of built around, was when he had this short conversation with the rabbit the first time. I mean, you're questioning, because anytime he shows up, he's completely invisible except for like 2 times in the entire flick. So you're questioning it, and that was the whole idea. It's like you're kind of questioning your own sanity.
Yeah, it's the way it's presented. It gives that option.
The way it's presented, because the whole movie up until certain points, like you don't see anything of him. But what I got from it was like that was kind of a part of him, like his, like kind of deep within his psyche, that was helping him figure stuff out. And in a way, the line that I was telling you was, he's like, there's 2 ways that you can live your life, basically. You can be an ornery son of a bitch, basically. Oh, sorry. Or you can be...
I think we're okay.
You can be kind. You can be just nice. And he's like, I chose the latter. He's like, I tried the first one. It didn't work.
Well, yeah, and we've discussed a few times that whole Jordan Peterson thing about like dealing with the darker shadow, that other self, where you have to face the monster. Like you have to become the monster to really be good. Because people who say they're good just because they're like, oh, I'm good and I just do good stuff. He says, you're being naive, because it's the ones that are like, I could do this bad, but I choose to do this good. And that's where it's like, now that's a good person.
Oh, the fact that you have the power to do, terrible things, but you choose not to.
Yeah.
Like to threaten that, I'm going to pick up your car and toss it. Obviously you can't do that. Like you can't threaten something that you can't do. You don't have the power to do that.
I'm going to slap you and your mama. My mom's dead. Like, why? You can't even do it. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. Yeah, dude, like outlandish.
I'm going to get in the time machine. I'm going to go back in time.
I'm going to kill you, study voodoo, bring you back to life, kill you again because the first time wasn't enough. Like some seriously wrong stuff.
Dude, it's just messed up.
That was oddly specific. I never did that, I swear. Never been there. I've never even been.
Dude, it's completely normal to have a shovel, a tarp, a box of lye.
You never know when you're going to do like laundry on the side of the river.
I mean, that's normal stuff to have, like for a gardener, right? Somewhat.
I mean, could be.
Pruning shears, like the extra large.
This just went really dark really quick. Let's go. Bring it back. Pull up.
Super. Like, and this is the other thing. This is the thing I was trying to say. Like in this mode right now, what I started off by calling the Tesla mode that I'm in right now, it could go one of 2 ways. I could just start getting sleepy and quiet, which is obviously what we don't want, or I could just get completely batty. Just
Well, you were also in the middle of explaining how this show has helped you and how you've had your own experience with it.
Yeah, we're going to bring that back around.
I just did.
Is that where yeah, okay.
Segue. Hey-o.
So it just so happens that I have with me this week my cousin visiting me, and there was this whole... I've been doing this cathartic thing with this episode, like I was telling you, for a while now, because I feel like until I can listen to it and not be so heavily affected by it, then I'm okay with it. So that's how it's kind of working for me. And to me, now 4 times listening to it, it kind of embodies what I want to get out of this show, and hoping that because of the experience I had with my cousin and what we went through listening to it, from what you shared and from what I shared, that equally it was like a universal, which is one of the things I keep trying to tell you. That's, for me, that's something that's universal, like to understand like some of the stuff that I went through that she didn't even know, like she knew nothing about. And I learned things about her, and it was all kind of because of it was all because of listening to that one episode. So, I mean, cathartic, I don't even know if that really sums it up, but I mean, it was an experience. So I'm on 3.5 hours sleep now because of that. But
So what I'm
to
hearing
bring it
is
back around.
you're grateful that this happened, but you're also upset because you're just like, I'm also really tired right now. So there's a little bit of like happy and sad in there.
It's
That's
like
a
I
good
just
joke.
wanted to apologize because I'm running on,
I love how you opening up and sharing and giving a positive experience is like you apologizing for being tired. That's a great excuse. I'm very happy to hear this. That is it's like the worst excuse I've ever heard.
Like if you
insert
have
sarcasm here.
If you have to throw me over your shoulder and carry me around a little bit, I'm sorry, just in advance.
I am not carrying you nowhere. I love you, but I don't love you that much.
You shouldn't be throwing anybody with your bad back.
No, it is his knee, isn't it? His like bad knee or something. You shouldn't be throwing anybody with your bad knee.
In the comments.
Oh, I know. We really do need to get someone just like out there to like doing ticks for how many times we quote movies. It's how we speak. It's our own language.
Yeah, that's where you hear like 37. Oh man, we definitely got to do more.
We referenced another episode where it was like the bell instead. Ding! This is another one. So yeah, no, that's like your cue to like, oh, I got to write an answer down. What was that from? Back it up. Yeah. No, we just want to make you pay more attention to us, so we're being funny and drawing you in. Not really. It's just it's literally how we talk to each other.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like just a stream of consciousness, which is in the mode that I'm in right now. Lord knows where that train is going to take us. But anyway,
well, it's taken us on a very beautiful journey so far.
The bringing it back around was
please do
the thing. The understanding, and there were several times where we just had to pause and take a moment and go, wow, am I really hearing this right? Because, she's looking over at me and she's like, I didn't think anybody, like, what did we say before? I didn't think anybody else thought about this stuff. I didn't realize that other people had the same thoughts, that other people have trouble with the same things.
Well, yeah, as we were starting to get feedback, like in our like earlier episodes, like way back, when we started to get more of that, like we heard that there was actual personal connections, and we knew that what we were doing was on that kind of a level where it doesn't matter what we're talking about; it's just the fact that we're talking about it. We want to stir up any and all conversations. So the fact that you were in the original, I remember there was like, we're going to have to do so many, and we're going to have to be in. We wound up doing way more than your allowance was for us to actually start to put this out and like produce it and do it. Yeah, we did like tons and tons of test runs, right? Equipment checks, whatever. I don't care what you want to call it, but we've had like many before that. And you were like, hey, we have to.
There's material that I actually haven't even reviewed.
Dude,
That's
same,
the
same
old
here.
stuff.
I'm behind. I'm always behind. I got way too much stuff going on. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. Thank you. But that's that beautiful thing is once we started to realize, you specifically, that we were affecting not only just ourselves, because at this point it was like we were starting to feel it because it helped us on a couple things. But then we were starting to get feedback that others were resonating with it as well on all that pure, like just organic levels we always joke about. And that's a beautiful thing. And this is why we do it. And
I mean, should we mention any context? I mean, about what the episode was about, or
I don't want to.
You don't want to just revisit that, or all right?
Well, because
let's just say it was a difficult thing, and there's a lot of things that we brought up that are like difficult additional factors, due to the current timeline. Let's say, right? So it wasn't any one thing, but it was one of those really existential questioning, like, where do I go with this? Because I was coming to you with the same thing. I was like, where do we go from here?
And I think that's a bigger point of what this is about.
Like, is there something about kind of in the structure of society right now that is like shunning the individual, like having a free thought, it's almost not a crime, but you're not allowed to think on your own. You're not allowed to. I mean, it's almost stifling imagination. Well,
I have we had this conversation before about the whole education thing, about how we actually teach our kids, the platform we put them on, sitting them down at desk, making them like punch numbers, fill out forms. I mean, we're just building them for desk jobs coming out of high school. We're not giving them an education. We're not giving them a hand up. We're telling them how to get a job. I mean, is that really taking care of our people?
I mean, there's a lot more that you learn about life that doesn't happen at a desk. Because most of what you learn about life doesn't happen at a desk. It may happen with a desk involved somehow.
Maybe you were drawing
on
something
on top of or underneath, or
you got a computer on it. You're just,
inside. I don't know, whatever you know.
However you get down, you're making your art. That's what it is. It's a beautiful thing.
So, yeah.
But so that, I mean, to me, I like the fact that the bigger thing out of all of what you and I've been doing, because we've been at this for a while now, is I get, all right, proper reference. I had to badger you for years to do this. You finally called my bluff and just said, fine, get some mics, get a recorder, let's do this. And I showed up a couple weeks later. I was like, bing, here it is. You're just like,
man, I thought that would buy me a much more time than that. I didn't.
No, dude, call that bluff. I
thought you were going to run out of steam or forget about Nope.
Threw down. It was very rudimentary. It really was. But we still did it. We still tried it. We still went at it. Those were a lot of like our test runs where, the equipment didn't quite work well and it wasn't the greatest of, but, we learned from it. And that's why, again, when we got back to that place where we started getting feedback because people were actually listening, like we were putting stuff out there and they were responding back to us. You started to have this change where now all of a sudden I went from like badgering you, like, hey, we need to do this. We finally start doing it and we like get a bunch. Now all of a sudden you're coming at me like, we need to record all of our conversations, like the ones in the car, like whenever we're just chatting, like, dude, we should just always have the mic. So,
well, because I keep having moments in my life that I'm like, man, this would be so beneficial for other people to hear. And it was what it was at the time that it was because it was beneficial for the two people hearing it and communicating it. But, that's just my thing. It's like, I'm always looking for that. Like, there was an understanding, there was a connection that was made. And it goes beyond anything we understood about each other up until that point. So it's all rolls back to the fact that was all created by something that we did just talking to each other and where that led and the conversation that came after that and during the pauses, like I was telling you. I mean, obviously we paused for like a half an hour in one segment somewhere in the middle and just, kind of went off on each other about where that took us, just listening to it together. And, it was,
so our conversation,
beautiful, like, it was a beautiful thing to me,
Our conversation stirred additional conversations of a very beautiful and like opening, accepting manner.
And bringing it back around again. Yes. What I was looking for is exactly what happened to me personally. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want that connection to be made with other people that you're not alone in this. That there's nothing about this that it's all an illusion. You're not alone.
Yeah, and I think we even kind of started having that kind of same kind of conversation about our kids and stuff, and like trying to leave behind like legacies and things, and like, making sure that they have that information available. Like whether it's like making a book or just giving them a notepad or like a PowerPoint slide. Like who cares? Like here's some stuff that you might want to know just in case. Hey, listen, FYI.
Listen to your Harvey. I mean, if you want to call Harvey the imagination, the human imagination, right? Imagination in the human psyche.
I just got like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's imagination.
Yeah, just tapping into that. That's kind of what I got from that movie. That's what allowed him to put on that happy face and really feel it, because he realized that it didn't matter what was going on around him. Being happy was always going to be better than not. Like approaching a situation, let's say, in a positive way, like, which is like, if you watch it, like his sister basically tries to derail his entire life and put him in an insane asylum. And when he goes there to interview the doctor that she tried setting him up with, sorry, total spoilers on like a 1950s film.
We've done this on other episodes, so that was a spoiler before. This is a double spoiler. This is the again. You can go ahead and laugh.
But the depth of that is, I don't know if we went into all that necessarily, but the depth of that.
Yeah, we gave the overview of like, yeah, she set it up where it was like she wanted him to get interviewed to be put away in the sane asylum because, he's seeing this freaking rabbit and like his questioning and statements and the way he acts and his manner is like, it's just not quite the norm. So he's a little bit off his kilter,
But like everybody she tries to explain this to, he just like charms the pants off of them.
Because he's Jimmy Stewart, man. Come on.
Just so nice. And like, he turns the conversation right over to you. He gives you the stage. He's asking you questions. He's giving you compliments on things that he genuinely appreciates about you. Like everything about it. It's like the doctor is there and he's supposed to be grilling him. And he doesn't even get a chance to ask him one single question. And he walks out of the office. He's like, I don't know why this crazy lady's trying to derail your life. And he tells him everything she's trying to do. And he's like, oh. Well, that's very surprising. I did not realize that. Huh. All that in one day, huh? Wow. Yeah, that's my best. Sorry.
That wasn't half bad. I'll give you props on that.
Anyhow, but the whole idea of that being that if you look at that as the spirit of imagination, ingenuity, that connection we keep talking about,
imagination being more important than knowledge and
exactly
being free of thought,
but allowing him to be able to keep that state of mind because that's important. And what the movie told me was that if you can keep that state of mind, no matter what kind of obstacle people try to throw in your way, it didn't seem to affect him at all. And he seemed to walk out of it scot-free. It was just the funniest thing.
That's what I always say is like stay focused on the mountain that you want to get to the top of. Even if you get to another mountain and realize, oh crap, I got to like turn back and go back around. As long as you're staying focused on that mountain that you're going to, that's not you going back down the mountain to get there. That's you just going to get there. Stay focused on what you want and just let it be. So if that's being like happy and positive or being, rich or, have cars or be able to vacate, do whatever your thing is. You want to make like wooden chairs or, like spend time with your grandkids, like you go, dude, it doesn't matter. If that's the thing you want to do, just go in for that. Be as true and honest to yourself as you can be. That's.
Yeah. Have your thing. Well, I mean, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, man.
Find your Harvey, right? I mean,
I think that's a great way to say it.
Find your Harvey. Like, what's the one thing that kind of like you don't need to show it to anybody. The one thing that makes you shine. You don't necessarily have to start off by showing it to somebody because obviously, if you can shine, you should show the world. But, obviously.
Well, but if it's you doing your thing for you, then that's for you anyway. So it doesn't matter if others, it's for you anyway.
That's more to the point. Just doing it for you is a great place to start, and you don't have to start off doing what we're doing necessarily and making it a public domain of sorts.
Well, we didn't really because there was probably like 12 or 16 episodes that will never air.
Probably.
Oh, archive footage nobody ever gets.
Who knows?
Dude, you can definitely tell you haven't gotten enough sleep, man. This is a great place because you know what? I feel like we're going to get a very lucid, like free flowing, like you said, that Tesla state of mind. Lucid.
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 Lucidity.
Yeah, the same. Oh. Yeah. Well, I think that makes it an adjective. Or I'm not a.
This is conjugating. Just.
I already conjugated. I can't conjugate any further.
You see that? We said we would bring it around again. So, yeah, man, that was my whole donation at the beginning of this was the apology. First of all,
dude, again, I love how this is an apology still.
It's not still. It's just like a reminder.
I mean, you said
where we are now, and the experience and just an amazing experience, and all due to the show. And I felt like if that's something we can repeat in someone else's life, it felt like I dealt with a lot of stuff last night.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing that I just come to me is like the fact that we said several times, even if it's just one person, if we literally just reached that.
Well, yeah.
But when we joked that it was us, but
I raised my hand, sorry.
Yeah, we're on the air microphone.
It's not on the TV. I'm sorry. I raised my hand. Yeah.
There's no. Yeah, you gotta explain you gotta give some visuals, paint a word picture. But the fact that even if like one person which beyond us, because that was our joke. You know, I remember like way like the originals where it was like, yeah, I got like 5 people listening to us because they were checking out like some of our, you know, our pre stuff just to see how like, hey, give us feedback on quality. This like, dude, because you know we want to perfect our stuff. Like while this is our thing that we do, we still want to make sure that it's something that's going to be, you know, entertaining or, you know, knowledge or somehow supporting. Like we want to be good at what we do, like literally good at it. So the fact that, you know, we just one person would do that with us, it was already worth it. And, you know, we've already had that. And it's like, dude, how many more can we do that now with? Dude, if we can get that one,
to take the show on the road. Yeah.
Show, dude, we're in the world, man. We're all over like certain spots. Dude, you can find us in anywhere. If you have internet access and a device to get at us, dude, you can find us.
Yeah. It's as easy as that. I mean, these days, you can connect to anything, anywhere, you know? Beautiful, beautiful thing. But will they?
If you build it.
I mean, if I build it, it's there. So if they come or they don't come, I don't know. I don't have a saying for that. I don't fancy.
Well, 3.5 hours sleep, I don't expect you to have anything.
Yeah. I'm going to keep saying that. It'll be like 12, 13, 27 times. On the
Littering and.
But yeah, good. Well, cathartic, cousin, haven't seen in a while. And a lot of life issues kind of dealt with and brought out to the service. And it was.
All right. So like how you know,
mind-blowing.
I referenced to you earlier when you started to find out that people were not only just listening to us, but actually drawing stuff from it. And you started to become more proactive and you started getting at me a little bit like, hey, let's do this. You know, let's make sure and you started pushing a little bit more. So you being able to have that experience, me on my side, you being in that place is like my experience. You know, us doing this, going to be, because we would do this anyways. This is just what we do. Right? Well, it's just the fact that now we actually let other people listen in. So having that, you know, just gives that ability of like, dude, that was that thing that like put it together. And so now that I get to see you grow and you enjoy it and, you know, you having those, to me, that was the whole kind of like reason why I wanted to do it in the first place. So I'm grateful to be able to see that it's not only done it like once or twice or two. We've already had a few people and it's beautiful. And I know we're going to do it again.
Like, I set up last night in my chair right here, and I had planned pretty much to go through quite a bit of scotch. And I put on that show intentionally. That was my plan for the night. Like, I was just going to go down that rabbit hole.
You were just going to work it out.
I was just going to work it out.
Nice.
And she came right near the beginning of it and started to listen with me. And I was wrecking myself. Like, I was gone by like 1 o'clock.
On said scotch?
Yeah.
I'm keeping proper context.
Just sitting there listening to the show and the experience that the two of us were having with each other was, I had a moment, I don't know, I guess it would be early in the morning. At that point, it would have been early this morning. After 1 o'clock at some point, I'm sitting there still listening, and I had like kind of a moment, like you ever have a moment outside of yourself? You're kind of floating somewhere and like...
Several.
Just having a moment outside.
It's called meditation.
Yeah. As I'm listening to this, I had one of those moments outside of myself, and I was looking at the whole situation that I was experiencing, and I felt like it was one of those moments... It was one of those moments that when you see it, I mean, you could say this about every moment, but when I see it, this is my perception, that it seems to stretch on for eternity. It was one of those moments that was completely timeless. And the feelings that came out, that got dealt with, that we experienced together, made us closer as family last night, this morning, whatever. That
time is merely a perception.
What I keep trying to say is that's what I want to be able to pass on.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I don't care. That's what I want to pass on. If one person,
leaving your mark.
Hopefully more, but if one person has a life-changing event from listening to something like one of our shows, I mean, it's a tough one, that one. It's a really, I don't care who you are. And I say it's tough for me, but it's a tough one for anybody who listens to that.
Anybody who's being human.
Because you hear my voice, you don't know me from anybody, right? You don't know me. If you're listening to the radio, you could be in another country. You could be anywhere. But my voice might remind you of a brother or a friend. I'm somebody's son. I'm somebody's husband. I'm somebody's father. And there's a connection there. There is absolutely a connection there that is, like I said, when I was having that moment kind of outside of myself, like the tears just started welling out again for like the third or fourth or fifth time that night. Last night, because I saw it as a timeless moment, stretched on forever. And how, like, just the beauty of the whole thing, the experience that I went through, if that could be something that other people could experience. Cathartic, man. Life-changing.
That was beautiful, bro. I love you.
I love you too, man.
I love you too, man. Just say thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that goes back to, like, that. I knew that...
My hand burning in the fire.
Dude, but that's exactly what all this is. Because whether it's on a personal level of, like, you and I, or, like, you and your cousin, or anyone listening to us, this is our art. You know, this is the thing that, you know, we did just to kind of, as a joke almost in the beginning. Because originally it was because we had such funny, like, banter back and forth that I was like, yo, we should record these, you know, our conversations so that we can create these jokes or, like, become, like, an actual, like, you know, sketch comedy comedian, you know,
yeah,
duo.
I think you were coming at it at first almost just more like for entertainment, just sheer entertainment factor.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, stage stuff.
But I keep coming at it, and I kind of started off right from the beginning with you telling you that, like, I don't do small talk.
Well, and I also, at the same time, had come up with the idea, because originally, so the way we came to the idea of, like, I already knew that I wanted that honest, organic conversation. Like, I knew that I wanted, like, you and I just chopping it up, doing our thing. Because that's when we're at a realist and we can talk about anything. Like, we can really just hash it out and accept each other. But having that as, like, I know that's the thing, that was the core of what we did. So originally it was like, hey, let's do, like, 3 random topic statements, questions, whatever, just to spark the conversation. Once the conversation started going, let's hit record there.
Oh, so you, like, hit the ground running kind of thing. Just let me just reach over while we're in mid, you know.
Well, in a sense, because, I mean, that would have been our frame of topic, or, like, you know, our point of, like, it was, you know, it gave it the purpose, even though the whole time the real purpose was raw, organic, let it be what it's going to be. We could have a predetermined idea coming into it, but all of a sudden we can go on a complete and total, like, tangent, and it's just, there we are. It's very feasible.
So
we do it all the time. We tangent our tangents. That's the joke from earlier. I've already tangented. I can't tangent it any further.
Yeah.
I finally remembered it.
But anyway, to get to the nitty gritty without really reopening that whole case again, the times that we had to pause, it was like she stopped and she looked at and she just turned to me and she's like, you know, it's really funny because when I got at the beginning of this, when I stepped into it, started listening, you know, I expected to make a connection with you. And even though some of that actually surprised me as well, took me by surprise, that what really got me was that you know, not being her family, she made just as powerful a connection with a lot of the things that you were saying. And none of that can be scripted. None of that was scripted. That was literally exactly what was going on in the moment. We just hit record.
And that's...
And we didn't even know that night if we were going to throw it out. We really didn't. Because that was... I mean, it was that kind of night.
The correct, I guess, reference context too was you and I were having a conversation, and I think even me, like, mid-statement, you're like, we're done, we need to turn on the mics, and we instantly just, like, So yeah, we weren't even.
Well, I think I tried to put it a little nicer than that because I was just like,
No, you were very matter of fact.
if we're gonna do what we claim we're doing, and we're dealing with something real right now, shouldn't we turn the mics on? And I was just kind of putting it out there, like, even if we don't do anything with it, and we keep it just close to the chest, that's fine. But shouldn't we be getting this down just because it's I know, and like you have these moments, right? You joked around with me before, but you have these moments where you kind of you go on this, like, not string of obscenities, but this, you go on this tirade for a minute. I do, you do, where you kind of you come back a moment later and you're like, well, where did I go? I think did I black out?
I do the Will Ferrell old school, yeah,
the old school reference.
Yeah, when he's doing the debate, he's like, "What happened? I blacked out."
And just having that to come back to listen to realize like where the conversation started from and where it kind of went to all on its own. That like none of that was planned, and it even though it went to its own kind of rhythm, it amazingly stayed on track. And the reason it did is because there was nothing about that other than pure raw. This is what's going on right now, and we're just pressing record. Like that was a conversation we need to have with each other at that moment.
Yeah, we did.
And there was nothing you can't script that. That was life.
That's what we do here. One of my favorite sayings, motion creates emotion. So, standing up, making verbalized components, like getting things to actually interact. Once you can sense it, it automatically gives you like an additional component. So it's us just doing us puts that energy out there, and that's just how it happens. And it's a beautiful thing, man. Every time I get reminded, dude, I'm humbled by it. Like that.
I'm reminded of something right now that I want to get to, so I'm waiting for you to.
Go ahead, dude. Go ahead. Dude, I'm getting caught up. Like, dude, I see. I love being able to do this.
Yeah,
we love you, fam. Sorry.
There was because I don't want to make reference. I don't want to tear that wound open again because it was a difficult episode that we had. Not even just episode that we recorded. I mean, episode that we had together.
That's a literal joke,
right?
But
the conversation that had to happen, the difficult conversation, which is one of my focal points for this show, is not that you can plan it, but like when we see it happen, like don't avoid it. Have the difficult conversation and this is what I wanted to say, that something that was not peripheral, but like you reached a point near the tail end of the conversation where you kind of broke the fourth wall and you just kind of turned to the people, the listeners, and you said, I want you to know, whatever you're going through, don't ever leave a conversation without saying, I love you, without saying, I care for you. You mean something to me. And there was even all the other stuff that was very, very personal with us. When you did that, like, I just lost it. I still lose it just thinking about it. Like that moment you had where you said, you're just speaking to everyone. This is not something you can just let slide, because you don't realize what that person went through that day, and you just slough it off like, oh yeah, that's a nice picture, whatever. No, you stop and you say, this is beautiful. This is something you made. Whatever it is, if you're dealing with your child, or, that was that example, but if you're dealing with your child, if you're dealing with anybody in your life that you care about, don't ever go to bed with an argument on your mind. Ever. And even if you still, like, you're stuck completely in your mind, I will never agree with you on this issue. That doesn't mean you go to bed angry. You look at that person and you say, I love you. I may not agree with you right now, but I love you. It's easy to do. And that was one of the things that really, really struck home for me on that one. But funny enough, because there was something so universal about that I just lost it when you started saying that, because breaking that fourth wall at that moment was you stepping outside of yourself and realizing that there was, like I had here, that timeless moment. That's what you had that moment when you did that. That's why you did that, because you saw that moment stretched out, like I said, infinite in both directions. It was timeless. And you turn to the audience and you say, don't forget your loved ones because you'll regret it. Basically, you don't know what kind of day somebody's had. And that was my thing that I got from expressing that episode, that I said, all the stuff that you threw on me that night, what I kept remembering was this issue that I've never fully dealt with in my life, in my past, when I was 13 years old. And you can't not think about the negative. You can't ignore it, because the more you push that down, it's like, dude, I'm an old man now. My next step is being a grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My next step is being a grandfather. So, like, something about all this. It's just, it's so on point. It's so cathartic for it's universal. It's painful, but beautiful and joyful.
Isn't that what some of the best art is?
Yes.
This is our art. That's what we do. Dude, I'll be honest. Like, dude, you almost got me, eh? Like, dude, no, you started and not like, oh yeah, no, that. Yeah,
so that the one message I wanted to pass on was that, that just sometimes just, like I said, there was things we learned about each other because of the show, because there were things that were brought up that she wasn't aware of, which, and then of course in her mind brought up things that from her past that she was dealing with, that she reminded me of, that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And it was just something about that it was healing. Right? I mean, that's.
Are you asking me?
Right?
This was your experience.
I don't know. I was outside of myself. I'm just asking. What's it look like to you?
Well, and and as you just said, like, out of yourself, I think that was a great way to kind of sum up, that place we were at and that component, into the relation of, like, the time stretched out.
That's the only way I can put words to it, like the way I'm thinking about it. Like it was just that moment stretched out in both directions forever. Like there was something just so
timeless.
I mean, of course, I was 3 sheets to the wind, so that doesn't hurt. But
maybe that's where you're most lucid.
Speaking of which,
well, I mean, say fact of you being like at like 3.5 hours sleep right now and coming off of that, like you're probably just maybe that Tesla state of mind, that lucidity. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I said this could be very interesting. We're gonna.
It was a reminder to me that there's suffering everywhere, even when you wouldn't expect it. And there's aspects of lives of people that you consider yourself very close to that you may never know. But through something like this, through open banter, through just being willing to dig deep and be silly and be yourself, and if I come at something and I'm digging hard on you for something, it's not out of a desire to hurt you. You know what I mean? It's out of a desire to figure out, like, can we talk about this and figure out, like, what is it? Like, obviously there's something here that's bothering you, right? I mean, because that was the whole point in the very beginning. That was even part of the
Jordan Peterson thing.
No, my manifesto, right?
Oh, you're talking about, like, way
if we're going old school. I mean, because that's where it came from.
Why you got to bring up old stuff, man? What's that
because
about?
That's where this came from, right? It was the whole principle that I was trying to put behind this was this, what you titled, manifesto that I put up.
Rules of engagement. I mean,
right.
I believe that, to a degree, that's what a manifesto is. It declares what we deem as facts or components of.
So what was I asking? I was asking you to be truthful and honest with yourself and with every other individual associated within I'm Telling You, right? It was simple things like that. It was, be yourself, be honest, be courageous, and man, you can't do some of this stuff without being courageous.
Yeah, I always say the word is, like, vulnerable. You have to, like, just, let it go.
And it also brings back to mind one of the things, your life mission, right? The idea that you want to get out to people that the definition of being a man in society isn't necessarily what we've been taught all this time. And that there should be a different paradigm to look at. And that the aspect of manhood needs to be somebody who's understanding and protective, right? Somebody who can understand both sides, somebody who is a protector and, a provider for life in a way.
I would say yin and yang.
Understanding and,
yin and yang balance of like masculine, feminine.
I guess the idea that being the strongest man in the room physically doesn't necessarily make you a better man. Being forthright and being honest and trying to pass that on to your children. I'm not saying you have to succeed. It's not easy, but trying, realizing that we're all human. We all make mistakes, but trying to improve yourself, trying to find that part of yourself that, you need to talk because I'm tired.
And I think that all of that's really a great point that kind of goes back to like the whole purpose of what we do here. So you're talking about how like you've had the personal experience and now the things have like made you better. It's done for others and so on and so on. So there's this like reciprocal component that's almost like exponential, and all from just being this very raw, open, honest component. So just going to like the core of why you and I talk. And because again, man, dude, we're just turning on the mics so you all can listen to this stuff. Like it's what we do.
I guess.
And it's because we do it in that raw nature. It's because we have that acceptance. Because it's like, hey, man, I just got to get this out.
You have that moment, like when you have a moment like I had last night, this morning. When you have a moment like that, and you lay everything bare and you're vulnerable, and you make a connection like that, and you find healing within that, that is only going to improve how you can move forward in your life. Because holding on to that is one of the things I was trying to explain, is that it's like the principle of energy, right? I mean, you can't kill off energy. You can't
destroy it.
You can only transmute it. You can only move it. You can't
modify it, change it.
It can never be destroyed. And living
just becomes something else.
And I'm envisioning this like living with a dichotomy within yourself and acting as if it doesn't exist. Where does all that energy go? And what do you do with that? And that becomes a really scary thing when you bottle it up and you tune it out and you act as if it doesn't exist. And now you're on medication for migraine and you're dealing with stress issues at work because you are blowing everything out of proportion, because deep in your mind, I've never even dealt with this. And this is something personal I could deal with very easily by just being open and honest and understanding with it, and maybe putting it out in the open and being willing to be a little bit vulnerable around somebody that you care about, because this fear that you have that motivates you not to do these things, that's the only thing holding you back, because you don't realize that when you lay yourself bare for somebody, there's a natural human tendency to want to do the same and reciprocate. So that's the cathartic moment. That's the understanding what it is to be not just a proper man in society these days, but a proper human being.
Yeah, I was going to say person, but yeah, human being. Yeah.
Human being. A person of light.
Well, I mean,
I said it.
Well, I said it earlier about the whole like negative, positive. Like, what's the difference? Same thing as like, person, man, woman. What does any of that matter? Like, seriously. Like, I mean, if that's how you want to signify yourself, all right, cool. Like, I respect you in that regard. But right? Yeah. So why do any of us have to be classified? Why do any of us have to be noted as or labeled? Or if we don't want a label, then why do we have to have one? We shouldn't have to. I mean, and if you do want a label, cool, have that. Like, we should all be able to do that. There should be no need to have to do either, unless that's your thing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's
so much of this. And this was another thing I wanted to get across, and trying to put it into words is really difficult. But one of the ways I've heard it mentioned before, that's very simple to say, and really for me, it's that sums up what humanity is looking for, and they're just looking to be seen. So everyone out there, like, I see you.
I hear you.
You know, I see you.
I feel you.
I mean, and I feel everything that you were going through every time I listen to that episode again, because you put yourself out there, and that's what I'm saying. What came out of it was good, because you were willing to put yourself out there, and you were willing to lay yourself bare and be vulnerable and deal with the struggle that you were going through, because you're not alone. I see you.
This is like turned into a really beautiful episode, man. I got to be honest with you.
Aren't they all, man? What does that
yeah. I do. Well, it's true. It's true. But some of them are like more comical. Some of them are a little bit more serious on like, you know, an intellectual level. But
and I try my best not to keep anything low key for too long. I mean, we joke around. We try to throw in like our little, it's getting late, but we joke around. But at the same time, like I said, we don't do small talk. Like that's not my thing. I can't. It feels dishonest.
I know our small talk is us trying to figure out when we get together and have more conversations, which usually is on the phone, which turns into another conversation. To which you say, "Hey, we should be recording this."
Well, that's what you're saying. It's not different conversations. It's the same conversation that's always going on. We're just happening to recording it, just a section of it. That's all. So
you all get to like hop in on like sections of it here and there, and like.
Forgive me, I can't even speak right now.
Dude, which kind of cracks me up because a minute ago you were just like, "No, you got to talk now because I'm," and then you just like went right back into it. You have this whole like Tesla lucidity, man. It's pretty dope. I'm rather enjoying it.
And I'm gonna have to listen to it over again because I have no idea what it sounds like. And
I mean, we do that. We will. We always do. We want to get better at what we do. You know. I mean, it's just the way it is. You know, we have to better ourselves.
So didn't we start off with "It Is What It Is"? That was yeah. Are we?
Well, no, you said there was another you like it do what it do, baby.
Oh, I'm gonna make it do what it do, baby. That's for sure.
Well, but because we always reference it as like, so we don't necessarily so much have these conversations as like we're just the conduits. Like the conversations come through us, right? Same as like the music or because this is our art. This is us just expressing ourselves. That's what art is. And the fact that we get to do this and people actually get something out of it, like that's all positive and beautiful, like not even just us, but like people around us and like even further, like it's.
Well, I mean, a couple times I've heard people that have listened and they say that like, this is the kind of conversation I want to hear. And whether we're being silly or we're talking about something serious, you know, there's something about this what's the term? Like, I feel like I just want to sit down at the table with you guys and crack a beer. And you just use that as an opening. You're like, absolutely, come join us anytime.
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, I think that's a great spot. Because as always, just as we start getting into it, it's time to go.
Yep.
You know, but yeah, so if you do want to sit down and crack a beer with us, because you heard us, we did that. That's the thing. That's, you know, my signature. But if you want to get in touch with us, you go ahead and hit us up on some email there with I'm telling you at directionsinmusic.org. That's IMTELLINYOU at directionsinmusic.org. And, you know, as always, Chef Philly D.
Mr. Gemini, much love, everyone.
Yeah, I'm telling you, thanks for checking in. Be good to yourself and be good to everybody else.
And everyone, I see you, okay?
Yeah, we do. Peace.
Peace.